Hello! It's Thanksgiving! We gotta make all the things! But we're only 3 people, so my idea is to make everything just in a pie. So it's going to be a stuffing stuffed portobello mushroom in the center, surrounded by a ring of mashed potatoes, surrounded by a ring of green bean casserole. It's going to be epic. I'm so excited. Let's do it! We are gonna start with the green bean casserole, so we're gonna go from the outside in. We have everything laid out here. Got our green beans, mushrooms, garlic and onions, got some non-dairy milk, some white wine, and of course the French's fried onions on top. First, we're going to bring a large pot of salted water to a boil, and we're gonna put the green beans in there. So now that we have boiling water, we're gonna put the green beans in for 5 minutes. And then we're going to rinse them with cold water. Now we have the green beans. They've been all strained and washed with cold water, so they're not just continuing to get mushier. And we're going to put 2 tablespoons of plant butter of your choice. I'm using Miyoko's, into a pot on medium heat with the mushrooms. So let's get that going. In the other pot, we're going to have the remaining tablespoon of plant butter, and that's going to be for the onions and garlic. So our butter is melted in the back pot, and we're going to put the mushrooms in and let them cook down, get nice and browned on both sides. Should be about 5 minutes. And while that's happening, we have another 5-minute cooking task, which is the onions and the garlic. The onions are nice and translucent. The mushrooms are still doing their thing. We're just gonna let them keep going till they're brown. And then we're gonna pour I think it's half a cup of white wine into the onions and garlic and let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Meanwhile, the green beans are cast aside until their starring role at the end of the show. That's simmered down. We have just a little slurry happening here. And we're gonna add the flour one little bit at a time. Just stir in to evenly coat the onions and garlic. Little bits at a time. The mushrooms are still cooking. They definitely needed longer than 5 minutes. Now that all the flour is in, we're gonna add little bits of non-dairy milk at a time. Same process. This is looking and smelling delicious. Once you've got all the non-dairy milk in, then you're gonna go for the coconut milk. It should look rather soupy now. I'm gonna keep heating it through. The mushrooms are browned on both sides and have shrunk significantly to about half or even a third of their original size. And we're gonna scoop them into the pot with the onions and garlic and all the milks and flour, and it's gonna start to come together. Okay, so now you can see what's going on. We've got all the mushrooms in here, and it's time to add some thyme and also veggie bouillon. So in they go. Oh, smelling so delicious. There. Mix it all up. Now we're gonna bring it to a simmer, so just below boiling, and let it cook down for about 8 minutes. Okay, so we're back. It has reduced, it has gotten nice and thick, and we're just gonna pour in the green beans and mix it up and add some salt and pepper to taste. And then it's ready to put in a casserole dish and put in the oven at 350 for 15 minutes, or to save for the outer layer of our pie. Okay, so next is the mashed potatoes. So we have our freshly boiled potatoes here ready to mash with our Miyoko's butter, and got some garlic and onion powder to add and some oat milk. Apparently oat milk is supposed to be the most bland, creamy milk substitute for mashed potatoes, so we'll see how that goes. And we're gonna try some Miyoko's cream cheese to give it a little extra jazziness. Butter, and milk. I mean, for mashed potatoes, you don't really need a recipe. You just kind of go by taste. Throw a bunch of stuff in there and see how it goes. Yeah. Right, let's smash. Ooh, wow. We're using butter potatoes because they're supposedly the creamiest of the potato varieties. That already looks good. Let's add a little bit more milk and some more butter. And I'll come back when they're done. Now we have our mashed potatoes complete, creamy, and delicious. Another layer is done. Next up, stuffing, and gonna put it in the portobello mushrooms. Then we get to assemble the pie. Now we're making the stuffing. So we're gonna put half a cup of butter into a frying pan with 2 tablespoons of fresh sage finely chopped, or if you're using dry like I am, that would be 2 teaspoons. And clearly I'm estimating, because I want pie. We're also going to put in 1 diced onion. We're gonna let these 2 things simmer together for a few minutes. It's been about 15 minutes of the onions simmering with the sage in the butter, and it's starting to get nice and caramelized. So we're gonna add 2 chopped stalks of celery and a couple tablespoons of fresh chopped rosemary. We're gonna fry for a few extra minutes until the celery has started to become translucent. We're also gonna add 2 cloves of fresh garlic, finely minced. So you can see just how amazing this looks, just bubbling up in all that butter. And we are going to gather 12 ounces of vegetable stock and start boiling that, because that's what we're gonna pour over the whole mix at the end. Here we are with our 10 ounces of breadcrumbs, and we're gonna mix it with 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. So we have this with cornstarch. We have the stuffing all mixed up. The only part left to do for that is put the boiling vegetable broth over it and let it sit for 5 minutes. I don't want to rush myself with this mushroom situation, so I'm just going to put that aside, and then we're going to start hollowing out a nice big portobello mushroom cap. Just kind of gently scraping the gills out, and I'm going to remove the stem, but try to preserve the shape and not let it crumble apart. I'm just gonna wanna make enough space in there to stuff it with a good amount of stuffing. I'm gonna cook it on a pan with some balsamic vinaigrette and some liquid smoke and garlic and maybe a little bit of salt and pepper. And then we can, while that's working, can start soaking the breadcrumbs in the veggie broth. We have all of the layers ready to assemble. We're gonna do the mashed potatoes first. Right in the middle, through the edges. Because the mushroom is so flat that it's not gonna take up a whole centerpiece. So the mushroom will be on top of some of the mashed potatoes. This is fun. I'll make some space for the green bean casserole on the edges. Yes, the vision is coming to life. I'm so excited. 1 slice will have all of the things in it. There is another way you could do this pie where you do it in layers on the top, but I wanted to be able to see all of the things in the pie. So now we're gonna go back to this guy, place him on top. Oh my goodness, he fits so well in his little nest. And then have the mashed potatoes on display like a flower of delicious. And then I'm gonna use this spoon to put the stuffing in the mushroom. Oh my goodness. Doesn't that look tasty? Now we're gonna put fried onions on top of the green bean casserole, but also on top of the whole pie. Here's what we have going on so far. Now I'm just gonna cover the whole thing in the fried onions because why not? And then gonna put it into the oven at 350, probably for about a half an hour.